All right, so this is sprint one. I'm just going to be talking about what I've been doing for my capstone project and individually on this one, what I've been doing in particular. So I've been delegated objective analysis. In this section, pretty much we are discussing the problem we're addressing, which is creating a remote server for this platform in the chemical engineering lab. Dr. Zhao is wanting it to be mobile and wanting us to kind of make it more accessible. We are kind of dealing with issues in dealing with the IT. So basically, they don't want us to more or less install software onto it, and they don't want to give kind of admin responsibility to it. But by doing creating a server, I think we could change up our project. We were kind of thinking about doing kind of window sharing or mirroring, but I think by creating a server, we can do this, and that kind of goes over in kind of the problem statement I've created here, kind of adjusted to this new parameters. We're going to use a cloud-based platform. Eventually, we want to progress to a mobile application, but I don't know. That might be something for a future class because right now we generally just want to meet the needs of Dr. Zhao, and we want to create this server to make it accessible outside of the laboratory, which makes sense because you would want your students to be able to do the lab and not be stuck to in the parameters of in the laboratory. So a couple issues with doing it outside of the university, but I think by creating a server, I think by them being able to access a server, I think it's really going to help Dr. Zhao meet her needs. But more or less, we want to create it, present it to her, show it to her, as been done in my section of two. I've been working on a Figma file for this, and I've created a Figma file for it. But for time's sake, I'll go over kind of what I've been doing. Also, as we discussed with Dr. Zhao, she wants an authentication factor. That will be something later on. Right now, we're kind of just implementing the server. So, me in particular, I'm working on SRS part two, the documentation. I'll show you over here. I've also put the first commit of our code and started our code for the server. Let me pull up my IP address so I could show you kind of the code that I've created initially. This is just a broad client working code. So to connect the client and server, and then I want to basically have it so it mirrors and more or less does that. And I'll show you my sprint log. So basically, what I was doing there and what I created for the first one is just a sample. It's a broad server that more or less we can connect one computer to, but it's just to get us started. It is started code to build on, and it's a server to build on. And that's my initial kind of contribution to it. Here is what I've been delegated kind of for this sprint. It's kind of a lot. So letter of intent, SRS, prototype, those are all kind of backlog issues for sprint two, and these are all to do with me. Prototype obviously we won't have that till later. That's gonna be a continuing factor. Specification of hardware implementation. They've already put a new computer in there, and we contacted them to kind of do this. So that's already done. That's not going to be honored to do this anymore. Obviously, you have the SRS section two, server setup in the progress, SRS documentation complete. That'll be in progress throughout this, not just this sprint, but future sprints. Acquire transfer license for ARM-filled program. So ARM-filled is basically a technology that's used for the laboratory equipment and what they use in the chemical engineering lab is specifically Dr. Zhao. I don't know if it's all departments, but this machinery that she's using is called ARM-filled. So we want to kind of get the licensing and kind of have been researching about it. And then research remote desktop clients. That won't be It'll be kind of just through coding. Right now, I've done it in Java and Python, kind of trying to figure out which one will work better, and kind of just doing a lot of research on this. I remember doing server setup prior in prior courses, but kind of diving back into it is kind of getting the brain going, kind of researching what I did in the past. Trying to think that should be it. So it's pretty much just connecting to all the C disconnected from server. because I got out of it. So it's just kind of what we want to do going forward is build on this code and enhance it so that we can mirror um, another computer and eventually show that to Dr. Zhao and then show her how we're going to mirror the lab computer to a mobile computer and then possibly transfer that into a mobile application. So, kind of just getting started on this and kind of just getting going. And this is my contribution. This is all things that I've done myself, separate from the group. So I'm super appreciative, Dr. Sanders, and I hope this suffices. And thank you for the opportunity. And God bless. Thank you. Bye bye.